Hey, I'm golf broadcaster Matt Adams. The updated and expanded second edition of my book, The Golf Round I'll Never Forget, Golf's Biggest Stars Recall Their Finest Moments, is now available. Readers can expect to march with Arnie's Army at the 1960 U.S. Open, relive Jack Nicklaus's remarkable 1986 Masters win, and be amazed by the Tiger Slam. The Golf Round I'll Never Forget, Golf's Biggest Stars Recall Their Finest Moments. Pick it up where fine books are sold, including BarnesandNoble.com and Amazon.com.
This day in sports history. It's March 29th, and on this day in 1982, it was one of the great NCAA championship games. Of course, 1982 championship game. This is top-ranked North Carolina against number 6 Georgetown. The Tar Heels were making their second straight trip to the championship game, having lost to Indiana the year prior. The Hoyas had not played for the title since 1943, when they lost to Wyoming. The Tar Heels, with James Worthy, Sam Perkins, and a 19-year-old Michael Jordan. The Hoyas with the intimidating shot-blocking 7-foot freshman Patrick Ewing. The scene was the Superdome in New Orleans, pre-shot clock, pre-three-point line. You probably know the basics of how this game went. First 8 Tar Heel points came off Ewing goaltending calls. Ewing was actually called for 5 goaltends in the first 20 minutes. It was a battle of Gastonia, North Carolina natives as the Tar Heels' James Worthy and Georgetown's Sleepy Floyd, 2 guys who'd gone to church together, traded baskets. It was a back-and-forth game throughout, with Georgetown up 1 at the break. Without the 3-point shot, this was a game contested within 15 feet of the basket for most of the game. Only 2 Tar Heel shots were taken outside of 15 feet. In the second half, the largest lead was 4. And of course, so much was on display in this game of what we would eventually see when these guys got to the NBA, right? Ewing, the scorer and shot blocker, he had 23 points in this one as a freshman. Worthy with his clutch shots and gliding through the air for dunks, only he wasn't wearing the goggles yet. He led all scorers with 28. And then a preview of Jordan's end-of-game heroics. Of course, he hit the game winner, but before that, with a little more than 3 minutes in the game, Jordan's confidence was on full display when he drove at Ewing and he put his shot way up on the glass with his left hand to give Carolina the 61-60 lead. Jordan then, of course, hit nothing but net with his 16-footer with 16 seconds left to make it 63-62. And then, in one of the more unfortunate mistakes in championship history, Fred Brown thought James Worthy was his teammate and tossed him the ball, who then dribbled up the court. He was fouled, but he missed both free throws. The half-court heave was short, however, giving Dean Smith his first national championship on his 4th attempt in the title game. He also became just the second person to win a national championship as both a player and head coach. The previous time that had happened was back in 1976, when also on this day, Bobby Knight led his Indiana Hoosiers to the national title, completing the season with a perfect 32-0 record. It was the 7th time a team had finished the season undefeated and won the national championship, but they are the last to actually do it. The Hoosiers flipped a 6-point halftime deficit to Michigan in this game into an 86-68 win by being nearly perfect from the field in the second half. It was the Scott May, Kent Benson, Quinn Buckner experience. That trio combined for 67 of Indiana's 86 points. It was the first time 2 teams from the same conference had met in the finals, which is not too surprising since it was not until 1974 that at-large bids actually became a thing. So to wrap up the thread, Knight won a national title as a player at Ohio State in 1961. Smith won his title while a student at Kansas in 1952. And in 1981, Louisiana Tech won the AIAW championship, beating Tennessee 79-59. It was not the last one of the AIAW championships, but it was the last one before the NCAA started competing with their own tournament the following year. The AIAW, or Association of Intercollegiate Athletics for Women, was an organization started in 1971 by women and was run by women. The NCAA had never held a championship for women, but with the passage of Title IX and it becoming mandatory in 1978, they found themselves needing to in order to come into compliance. So the NCAA used economics to attract teams beginning in '82. About 120 schools switched their allegiance to the NCAA, mostly because the NCAA paid travel expenses and the AIAW did not. It was the beginning of the end for the AIAW. They did hold a 1982 tournament that went head-to-head with the NCAA tournament, with Rutgers winning that one, but that was it. The AIAW ceased operations in 1983. There were net positives to having the NCAA taking over. UConn coach Gino Auriemma, who was an assistant at Virginia in the early 80s, said it did open up more opportunities for black women and it brought more exposure to the women's game. In 1998, the Tennessee Lady Vols won their third straight NCAA title and their sixth overall, beating Louisiana Tech 93-75. The Lady Vols finished with a perfect 39-0 record. Tamika Catchings had 27 points, and Shamika Holtzclaw added 25 and 10 boards in this one. With all but one returning for the next season, there was great expectation that they would win their fourth in a row. But the Lady Vols got tripped up in the Elite Eight matchup against Duke in the '99 tournament. In 1977, the NFL announced it was expanding the schedule to 16 regular season games, along with 4 preseason games, and it's opening day in Major League Baseball. So, to go along with that, in 1867, pitcher Cy Young was born. And here's today's non-sports Did You Know? Bubble wrap was initially invented to be textured wallpaper. That's all for today. I'll have more tomorrow on This Day in Sports History. This has been an original Thrive Suite production.
Hey there, sports history fan. This is Arnie Chapman, a.k.a. the Football History Dude, and I hope that you enjoyed this recent episode presented by the Sports History Network and were able to learn some good old-fashioned sports history knowledge nuggets. I started the Sports History Network back in 2020 with the mission to help podcasters find a community of like-minded sports history nerds, as well as helping aspiring podcasters to start their own shows. We have a little bit over 30 shows on the network right now covering all sorts of sports history, but as far as I'm concerned, we're just at the toothpick in the ocean moment, that can't even figure it out because there's so much more coming. We wanted to create the ultimate headquarters for sports yesteryear, starting with Podcast Network and our website, but we're going to continue to move into other mediums as well. And here's the cool part, because we want you to be part of our team. So if you're interested in starting your own podcast, or maybe being a guest on one of our shows, or who knows, maybe even writing an article for us over on the website. Seriously, all you gotta do is reach out to us on the contact page over at sportshistorynetwork.com. You can be as technologically savvy as a Neanderthal tapping on a stone trying to figure out this whole hieroglyphics thing back in the day. Again, it doesn't matter, because even if you don't understand the whole podcast space, we have a production team that can pretty much help you out with doing everything. All you gotta do, head over to sportshistorynetwork.com, head to the contact page, fill it out. That message goes right to me, and I'll reach out to you as soon as I can. But for now, dude, I'm through if you're through.